Well, I'm looking at these plants right now, and I can tell you most of them are wilted and hanging over, and the color isn't great in it.
Okay.
Now, that one of the problems could be the soil here. I noticed that you have really sandy soil.
Yeah, that's what we call sugar sand down here.
Yeah, well, the thing about sugar sand is it doesn't hold water. The water literally just drains right through it. Most of your vegetables, their roots are located in the top, 3 to 6 inches of the soil, not down deep. So that water's going through and there's no moisture for the plants themselves. You almost have to water continuously to get them to grow.
We can't do that here.
No. So I know a place we can go to, and we'll take a look at a couple different ways to make a vegetable garden grow.
Okay, sounds good.
Scotty, I brought you to your local extension service so you could see all these beautiful display gardens. They've laid out all the plants that can grow in Florida. Now, as part of the display gardens, they actually have vegetable gardens, and this first one we come to is a raised bed.
Okay.
Now, a raised bed needs something to hold it in place. In this case, they've simply used cinder block, and that's giving you about a foot of great media that you can put in here to grow plants in.
Okay.
Now, if you look at these beans, you can see they're beautiful, and then in here, I even have one.
Okay.
Good way to start the day.
There you go.
Now, here's a pretty simple technique where they cut barrels in half, filled it with the medium they wanted to, and they got collards growing in the back. Look how big they are.
They look good.
And over here, this is typically what I do at home, a raised bed that's made out of wood.
Okay.
Works really well, it's simple.
Typically, how long will this wood last?
Typically, you use cedars, rot resistant.
Okay.
5 to 10 years.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
But the thing is, if you look, this takes up as much space as an in-ground garden.
Okay.
But it helps
sense.
you control the soil. It's still going to take up some space in your yard.
Okay.
So let's take a look at some other options.
All right, let's do it.
Scotty, I'm really excited about this system for growing vegetables. Instead of growing out, we're growing up.
I like that.
We're using these containers stacked on top of each other, and that'll allow us to come up really high with the vegetable plants.
Sounds good.
Now, if you look over here, I'll show you each container stacks on top of the others. You can see how you put the plants in the corner. The next container comes down and fits in. You can put another one on top of this and grow some more plants.
Okay. I like that.
But these plants are growing in soilless mix.
So no soil?
No soil. It's a combination of perlite and vermiculite, and this is great because this drains very freely.
Okay.
And we're actually growing these plants hydroponically. If you look over here, we have a barrel that's serving as our reservoir, and in it is water mixed with all the nutrients we need to make these plants grow great. There's a pump in the bottom. It pumps the water out through the piping, and it drips down from the top of the plants all the way to the bottom, feeding the plants with the perfect amount of nutrients they need. And I mean, look, the Swiss chard is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
Look at the strawberries. They don't get any better than this.
Yeah, the strawberries look great. And I do like the fact of going up and not out.
Not out. I think that'll work perfectly at your house.
Yeah, I think so.
So let's get over there and get started.
All right, sounds great.
All right, take your end out. This is just weed barrier. We're going to take and lay it down. Pull it all the way. Do you want to go all the way down to your patio?
This is good here.
That's good there? All right. You want to put it down. I want to try to get it 5 feet off of the house. You good down there?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, let's start stapling right there and we'll work our way up. All right, now what we're going to do is drive these metal rods down into the ground about a foot.
Okay.
This is going to be our support rod for the whole system. With our support posts in the ground, we're going to drive these pieces of pipe that'll support our planters.
Okay.
I'm going to put this bolt in the end that'll keep us from bending the end of the pipe. So go ahead and start driving it down. Just watch for your mark at 10 inches, okay? Good. Good. Now it's time to start stacking our pots. We're going to put this big one in and slide it all the way down. It's going to get filled with media. We're going to plant onions, potatoes, even broccoli in here.
Okay.
Now the first thing we're going to do is put this little spacer on. It goes all the way down to the bottom. Would you put your white spacer on? Okay. This goes on top, and this is going to support our first pot. It's
Okay.
going to sit just like that. Now just put yours in the top, and that gives us our final height.
Okay, sounds
3
great.
more to go.
Let's do it.
Now it's time to talk about filling our containers, and it's always easy to do this up on a table. Now you remember when we saw these containers, they were locked into each other like this. There's going to be 4 pockets for planting, so we'll get 4 plants in each container.
Okay.
And what we want to do first is put in these pieces of pipe in the bottom. That's going to allow us to make easy way to put them down on the post later on.
Okay.
So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to fill the container using this. This is Perlite, and we're going to fill the container 2/3 of the way up with this. It's a really good draining material. Then the other third will be filled with this coconut fiber. This will hold moisture and help with the root growth.
Okay.
You want to get that all the way up to the lip, okay? All right, while you're finishing those up, I'm going to start planting. Now this is so simple. You simply push back the cocoa fiber in the corner, slide the plant in, and then cover it just like that. Now this big pot on the bottom we filled in place and we planted it with broccoli.
Okay.
The first thing we're going to put on is this lettuce. And I'm going to lift it up here, and I want you to pull that spacer out. Pull that pipe all the way out. Okay, now this is going to slide right down. All right, you got that? Good?
Got it.
All right, now what I need your help with is holding these plants. Slide it down nice and easy. Okay. All locked into place?
We're good.
That looks great. They're already turning color. All right, now it's time to start on the irrigation system. The first thing we're going to do is drop that orange pot down. Now that's going to help disperse the water, and you can actually grow herbs in there.
Okay.
Next we'll slide on this piece of black tubing, and then we're going to put in this T, which has had a hole drilled in it, and I've run the spaghetti line right down through it. So I just set this on top, slide it into the black plastic, and that'll hold it in place. Now this line will connect to a main line running across the top. 3 more to go.
All right, let's do it.
Now what we're going to do is use this 32-gallon trash can as a cheap nutrient tank.
Okay.
So what I have to do is I have to get this submersible pump down in the bottom.
Okay.
But what we need to do first is slide that hose through to me. I'm going to connect it to the pump. Okay, we're just going to slide this over. That's ready to go. Now I have to connect the pump to our main line, and that's just another push-on connection. Okay, now we have to connect our feeder lines. In order to connect this feeder tube to the main line, we have to use this little punch tool and make a hole. Once we get the hole in, we take our feeder line, and it's cut at an angle to keep it from clogging inside. So we just take and push it in and work it down in. Now we're connected to the main line. Plug the pump into a timer, and that'll have the pump come on a couple times a day. All right, now we're going to add the fertilizer specifically designed for this hydroponic system by the manufacturer. Now that has N, P, and K in it, and all the trace elements we would normally find in the soil. So go ahead and dump that in. That's 16 ounces of that material. Dump it all the way in. And now give me this one. We'll do one more, and this one's straight nitrogen, which is essential to plant growth. Close the cover up, and we'll fire it up. Now the pump's running, and you can see the water coming out of this little feeder tube. You'll probably have to fill that tank 2 or 3 times a week and add the nutrients into it. But you won't have to do any other watering, and you are going to have a beautiful crop of vegetables.
Well, Roger, we thank you.